Hello, my name is Paul Knox Clarke. I'm the principal of the ADAPT initiative, which works to support emergency and humanitarian organizations prepare for the threats of climate change. Um, I've been in the humanitarian world my whole career, both on the ground as a manager of operations and also in a variety of HQ positions with different UN and INGO organizations. In the About 5 years ago, I became interested in climate change and particularly in why it wasn't more of an issue for humanitarians. And so since then, I've been very involved in researching particularly operational approaches to how organizations can respond to the various climate-related threats in fragile and conflict-affected states. Also, for the last 18 months, I've been working with International Medical Corps as their climate change advisor, which has been a fascinating and very sharp learning curve for all of us as we try and bring their programs in many of the IMC territories into to look at how climate can be best be addressed from a humanitarian health perspective. So I don't want to tell you too much because I want to keep my powder dry. Um, but broadly, we'll be looking at what the science says about the impacts of climate change on various aspects of health in fragile and conflict-affected states in particular. And on the other hand, at the sort of global policy and financial movements around the issue of climate and health, particularly what came out of COP28 and in the run-up to COP29. The breakouts are really an opportunity for the attendees to take a moment and with their colleagues to consider the ways in which climate will affect their organizations, their ways of working, um, and to start on the basis of experience that they already have, to start thinking about the transformations, possibly the quite significant transformations in various different operational and strategic areas that will be required to meet the threat of climate change, but also to meet a number of other 21st century causes of turbulence. I think different people get provoked by different things. I think some people will be provoked, hopefully in a positive way, by the recognition of just quite how big a threat the changing climate is to our operations and ways of working, without dramatizing or over dramatizing that. The evidence base is quite solid, and I think is hopefully provokes action. Others might be provoked by the idea that whilst this is a very significant threat, probably one of the key threats of our generation, um, there are also things that can be done. So it's a balance of provocation between the need to change and the possibility of change. I mean, one thing is, of course, I'm delighted that PQMD has decided to take climate on as one of its working pillars. And so I think that will be very important because it's not, unlike many other areas, it's not an area where we have extensive good practice or experience or best approaches, standard operating procedures. So it really is something that has to be developed together. And I think the PQMD membership is an ideal forum for that development and that exchange of experience and possibility to take place. The reason I think PQMD is particularly vital in a conversation of this nature is it's a very good example of the sort of cross-sectoral, um, multi-organizational construction that many of these, not just climate, but many of these 21st challenges require. And so to have international organizations private sector organizations, research organizations working from different perspectives on the same problem, is actually if you like, a concrete example of the sort of work that we're going to need to do around climate.